at least based on polling right now, it's looking really good for Joe Biden, much better than Hillary in 2016. And that just gets me excited for possibly a new era where you are now going to have people sitting in Congress who are farther to the left than the Democratic Party is. People like AOC, Rashida Tlaib,
Yeah.
Ilhan Omar, Jamal
Cori
Bowman,
Bush.
Cori Bush, where you now have a solid, real progressive Democratic caucus within the Democratic Party fighting for those issues, as opposed to just people on YouTube, talking how you need Medicare for all. You have people now in Congress that can fight for that. And the difference being, when you have a White House controlled by Democrats and hopefully a Senate controlled by Democrats, that will be the conversation. That will be the debate, is going to be the left versus the right within the Democratic Party, as opposed to having, when you have Trump in the White House, there's only so much the progressive left in Congress can do because they got to fight Trump at the end of the day. But when you have Democrats control everything, then that's the real debate for the left begins.
No, I think it's true. And I have recently acknowledged that I did, in fact, vote for Joe. And that was not an easy thing for me to do. And it was not a decision I came to lightly. And I by no means impose that on others.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did that, I felt like I really made this very conscious choice that, okay, this just means I have to be committed to fighting that much harder because I cannot abide a Kamala Harris presidency. And so I feel like I don't want people to see this as, okay, we're safe now. We've just saved ourselves. We don't have to worry about anything, because I think we actually have to worry more, because we cannot have 8 to 12 years of some neoliberal. We cannot endure this.
Yeah. And I don't think Americans are going to stand for it. I mean, but back in 2008, there was this, you could, of course, make the fair argument that people were fooled by Barack Obama, and they thought he was something that he wasn't. And it took, at least a couple of years for people to begin to catch on to that. This time, there is a built-in push against Biden from the start. There is, this built-in fight already in the Democratic Party against Joe Biden. Most up until the end of the primary, most people didn't want to see Joe Biden become the leader. Most people are aware of Joe Biden's history. At least most progressives, most on the left, are aware of that. And there is no fooling people this time. So from the start, unlike Barack Obama in 2008, this time from the start, there is an opposition against Joe Biden within the Democratic Party voter base. And that's, I think, going to mean a lot. And I think you're going to see more protests in the streets for, whether it's Black Lives Matter or for issues like Medicare for all. And the only thing people need to be aware of this time is to have a clear message. So there needs to be, I think, a march on Washington for a certain issue. So say for Medicare for all, make it clear that it's about this issue. And that's how I think you could possibly see movement, is you have enough pressure, enough people join these protests in the streets, fighting for something that the Biden administration wouldn't be fighting for, and really forcing them to react. So you have that this time built in from the start, and that's what I'm excited to see next year.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I mean, it's been coming on for years, and it's definitely been a movement that's building. And so it's one of those things where I've been just hoping eventually it's going to go. Like it's going to be the tipping point.
It needs that push.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I hope so. For me, it was really more about the idea that Trump said he wouldn't be commit to peacefully conceding power. The peaceful transition of power, just things that, while I do believe that Joe is still part of a generally corporate fascist sort of system, I don't find him to be an authoritative fascist. No. And so that was really the end for me, was really that, because I never have a problem with Trump just being an asshole. He is an asshole. He's disgusting. He's been disgusting my whole life. And I don't mind. I don't care what he says. If he was getting us out of wars and helping and doing what he was supposed to be doing, I wouldn't care how nasty his tweets were and what derogatory, misogynistic things he was saying. I just really wouldn't.
Yeah. But yeah, it got to the point now where he is, bringing federal officers into cities, snatching up peaceful protesters, putting them into unmarked vans and driving off, like insane shit like that. You have the tear gas in front of the White House after that Trump speech so he can walk across the road. You have him, of course, delegitimizing the elections, discussing the mail-in balloting, trying to essentially destroy the USPS. So when you have moments like that, I think these past 6 months, I mean, I've spent a lot of time attacking Joe Biden, but these past few months or so, I've really, since Trump started all of that real authoritarian crap, I just started to change my tune a little bit up until the election, because I don't want to be. Biden has a ton of issues that I could still be discussing, but there's no need right now when there is, this idiot, this not even just idiot, this neo-fascist in the White
Yeah.
House that I
Yeah.
think needs to get pushed out. And also, to the point on Joe Biden, I don't think he's ideological. I think he's somebody who wants to be liked. So he's not someone like maybe I don't know, Pete Buttigieg, I guess you can maybe say is a little more ideological, or some
He's
of the other people.
Manchurian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. uh, some of the other people in the Democratic primary definitely were a little more gung ho about their neoliberal policies. But Joe Biden, I think, just is somebody who is from another time. Up to this point, what he's been doing has worked for him so far. And he sort of just has moved with the times. Like the crime bill, as horrible as it is, looking back at the time, that was popular for the American people as a whole based on polling. People wanted law and order. That was a popular position that most politicians took at that
Right.
time. That isn't to excuse anything. Of course, the crime bill is garbage, but it's just to say that Biden moves based on public polling.
Yeah.
And I think if he sees enough angry people, look, I'm under no illusions he's going to be a Democratic socialist, but if there are enough angry people within the Democratic Party and the country as a whole that want to see a major change, I think he's movable. So that's my hope. Again, I don't
Yeah.
expect anything out of it, but I do at the very least expect people to stand up and fight for what they want to see.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think that at a minimum, you're not well. And I always say, well, at a minimum, he'll get us back into the Paris Climate Agreement, which that's like the barest minimum
Yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah.
But I don't think you would be having the same level of militarized fascist crackdowns on protests. And
Definitely
certainly
not.
now, since Trump has done that, I think that they would be a lot more careful to not do that. Like I think
Yeah.
that even if maybe prior to this they would have equally as been inclined. I mean, Obama was Standing Rock. So this
Yeah.
is
At the
not.
same time, though, like their claim in that situation would have been that's federal lands, as opposed to, having federal officers
And
marching in Portland.
just taking
Like,
protesters.
yeah, I'd say it's just a different, it's like
Yeah.
the next level, basically.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think that and for that alone, it's good. But I want to be very clear that the Tara Reid story has not gone
Mm.
away. Okay,
Yeah.
like that hasn't gone anywhere for me. And me voting for Joe in no means indicates that he should be off the hook for that, because I
Mhm.
do not believe that. So I feel like on one hand, I have to really say, okay, God, we literally this is the lesser of the two evils, and I'm resentful being in this position yet once again.
Well, the way I've always argued it is that it's your vote changes depending on the situation. So for me, the way I would view it is that it's not a vote for Biden, it's a vote against Trump. It's a vote for
Oh,
the person
yes.
that you would rather fight. Would you
Yes.
rather fight a neo-fascist than vote for Trump? I would rather fight a neoliberal than vote for Biden. Whereas in
Right.
the primary, you get to vote for who you actually want to, vote for. But when you have two choices that are so bad,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no justifying voting for that person. It's just simply you're voting as a tool.
Yeah.
This is the tool to get out Trump. This is what you got to do. Okay, and then the next step, of course, continue fighting Biden on whatever it is. Continue discussing the Tara Reid story and
Right. I
whatever else
mean,
he's
right.
done.
Like just
Yeah,
because, and yeah, obviously, if somebody's a sitting president, there's rules and regulations as far as things that have to be put on hold. I get that. But this is not a get out of jail free pass about that whole story. That did
yeah,
not
definitely
that's
not.
not going away, certainly not for me.
Yeah.